Okay, so I'm going to move along now. I'm sharing next our next panelists who are going to join us via webcam. You guys that are currently on, you can turn off your webcams. Don't go away though. You can stay to enjoy the rest of it if you want. But we have with us under a special achievement panel, Dr. Mark Benini, who is the superintendent of Meriden Public Schools, a good friend of ours. He's been doing extraordinary work. We have Ben Faubert, who's the principal of Mountain House High School, Lammertville Unified School District, the first individual school to make it to night level status, as well as the district. And then also Michelle Young, who's the director of instructional technology, Galena Park Independent School District, who's a new EduJedi achiever, which is the level just below night, but no small thing to make it all the way up to achiever status. So we're super excited about you, Michelle. So let me just show you guys first, before we get into the round of questions, your certificates. I want to say that with Meriden, there was an extensive reply. I think we got 2 replies in the survey, Mark, from you guys. Huge amount of dialogue that was written into there. I could go on and on about your district, but we kept it really succinct, and we focused in on granting you night status from the viewpoint of the fact that as a leadership organization, you've been working collaboratively. You have an amazing team. I've met a lot of them. And the amount of thought leadership that has gone into what you did with your direction was not just a single leader. It was across your board, you as superintendent, multiple other people. And then you didn't just augment, you went deeper in with changing the structure of how you did teaching and learning. And it's that particular point, like with Lammertville ISD, that is the difference that makes you a knight. Because that's the difference that we're expecting to happen as more and more schools and districts mature up to that knight level status. They start mutating time and space. So that is why you've been awarded knight status. Okay, so same thing here with Mountain House. One of the first individual schools, Mr. Faubert, that we were so excited to meet and talk with. You've created a very flexible schedule. I'm going to ask you to talk about that when we come into the questions. That is totally different than I would say the bulk of California. So because California was always funny to me, because I was like, how come we're Silicon Valley and as a state we're so far behind other places? It was always ridiculous to me until I met you. So that's been exciting. And then so this is your award. And we'll be making sure you have that. I know your tech list is a lot longer than this, but that was what was in the survey. And then on to Galena Park, Michelle. With your hybrid schedule work is the reason we brought you all the way up to, and I'm sorry, I think it says innovator, not achiever. I think actually, yeah, your slide is wrong. Sorry about that. We'll have to correct that when we send it out, because you're achiever level, not innovator level. So achiever, one of the reasons we granted you the achiever level status is because you're doing this on a comprehensive level, which is an important stage to hit. It means you're organized, not just going, I'm going to let every teacher do whatever they want, which is the early stages, of going technology oriented in schools and districts. It's just sort of like the superintendent rolls out devices for everybody. And then they're like, every teacher's like, you're on your own, go, here's some Google Docs, right? You guys have gotten more organized than that. And that's an amazing thing, because obviously you have to kind of arm wrestle a lot of people to do that. Okay, so I'm going to come back to you, Mark, first. Give us a little insight into the journey and the collaboration.
Sure. I think for us, we've learned a lot along the way, like everyone else. We launched BYOD quickly, and then we saw the need that we needed to go one-to-one and be the district that provided the devices. Then we worried too much about which device and less about connectivity, and we quickly learned it was less about the device and more about connectivity. Mm-hmm. Then we had some great digital content partners, but it was being used sporadically. So one of the most important things we did was embed the digital content into our core curriculum, and we insisted on use, and our students bought in and our staff bought in as well. Then we quickly saw that it now needed to be about ease of use. So we partner with ClassLink and we have single sign-on. We did tiered teacher PD and really recognize that our staff, like our students, are at different levels. And all those things I think have been so helpful for us, especially this year during the pandemic, as we are running two school systems. We're running an in-person school system and a distance learning school system, and we've given families and students that choice. And I think for us, we've been K-8 all in every day since September 3rd, and our high school is an everyday in-person model, or we let students and families select a full distance model. But the core digital content and the partnership and the fact that we were one-to-one, that we had single sign-on in place, that our teachers were familiar and got their PD at their own level, has put us in a decent spot during a difficult time.
Yeah, yeah. And you have to express our gratitude to your whole team, because like I said, I've met a lot of them and I'm very impressed, very impressed.
I'm the luckiest guy because I have a terrific team. I just stay out of their way and they get the job done. So
yeah, Barbara, the rest of them, they're great.
Barbara,
good.
Sue, Lois, they're terrific. I have a terrific team, and we've been together now for like a decade, and we have a supportive board of education. So I think that's been helpful too.
Yeah, yeah, and that's one of the things we looked at when we gave you night status. Is you're not just a lone guy out there. You got a team. Well, good. Okay, so Ben, talk to us about really the model and really, how you got here, because I think, didn't you step down from board level to take over this? And
yeah,
you have like how many kids? Like 12 kids at the same time while you're running everything over there?
And a doctoral program at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So, about 7 years ago, and any district administrator will kind of open their eyes like, you did what? I was a board member in our school district, and we were an elementary school district that we were trying in a master plan community that was trying to break away from sending our kids out of our district into a new district. I was a principal in a different district, and when we went to start the high school, we all started thinking big, like this was our opportunity to make the jump, the paradigm shift into using technology in education, not just to have technology as the thing in the classroom, but to actually drive instruction. And as the superintendent at the time started interviewing candidates, and we had talked extensively about the kind of person that needed to be in there to do this job, and about a month later, he came to me and he said, it's really hard to hire this person when the best person for the job is sitting in front of me. So I resigned from the board, applied for the position, and lo and behold, I get it. And I had a whole year in the district office to really develop the plan for the high school and really look at how do we use technology, but not just that, how do we change the leadership structure of the school, and how do we develop opportunities for us to leverage the technology. And I'm going to steal something that kind of, I think, Leilani, you coined, was how do we make it an expo center for learning? Mm-hmm. So one of our big philosophies is, high schools for so long, and I think one of the panelists from the last panel said, one of the big things that happens is we take little bits and pieces of education and put them in different places. Like, this is the online school, and this is the CTE school, and this is the credit recovery school, and let's send kids to those different places. And we felt like it's just not right. We want the kids to be all together. We want to keep them together. There's strength in numbers. It gives them more opportunities to interact with one another in clubs and organizations. It's the American high school experience, right? Like, they want to be on the football team and the basketball team. You put them out to these separate schools and you separate them, and they can't work with one another. And we know in the real world, we work with all kinds of different people who learn in all kinds of different ways. So how do we make an expo center for learning in one place so that we can make sure kids get what they need? Essentially, we tell kids, when kids are not making it at our school, I sit them down personally and I say, we'll do anything for you. You tell me what you want me to do. It's going to take work on your part, but we will design a program for you. So at our school, we designed an environment where from the get-go, we had not just our brick and mortar face-to-face classes, but those face-to-face classes were integrated with technology and a software that would help us look at the data and develop rigorous curriculum designed units of study. We then also very quickly got on board our credit recovery program, that it's not an alternative high school. It's a program within our school where the kids stay. We don't send them out, we keep them. and that's morphed into a program that includes workability, job internships, social emotional skills, soft skills, all the things that a kid who typically is that kind of kid would need within our own school environment. We also very quickly came on board with our online pathway, which was a fully online school. Again, not a separate school, just a pathway within our school. We have 9 CTE pathways in multiple different industries with partners all over the Bay Area and the Central Valley, because we are wedged in between the Bay Area and the Central Valley. And then we also made sure that we used the online program to also create a hybrid pathway. So we allow our students actually to take some classes face-to-face and some classes online. And then the last program I'll highlight, it's not the last program that we have, is our early college program, where we have a partnership with our satellite program at the community college down the street from us, where our students enroll and they can either get the intersegmental transfer credits to become to be accepted into UC or CSU system, or they can obtain their associate's degree by the time they graduate high school. So in fact, it's kind of fun because our local community college campus, they're the Mustangs and so are we. So it's called the Mustang Early College Program. And those kids, it's awesome. They end up, those with the associate's degree, graduate college the day before our high school graduation. So they get their AA the day before they get their high school diploma, and then they move on and transfer as sophomores in college. And our first class of students who graduated from that program will graduate from college after only going for 2 years. This is the year that they'll graduate. And so we've got one kid going to law school, we've got a couple kids going to med school, really great things going on. So we created this Expo Center for Learning. In addition, we changed our master schedule to fit in a daily collaboration for teachers, which is a great selling point when you're trying to hire teachers, to say not only do you get a prep period during the day, but you have a designated period during the day to work on our professional learning community and develop units of study, look at assessment and the data that's coming out of classes, to be able to really fully develop and analyze what we're doing with kids, provide equitable outcomes for students. And then it also allows us to have within our school day on a daily basis, we call it success period. It's an intervention and extension period. We use a tech tool that we use to schedule that. Teachers advertise activities. They can also invite students to intervention, not invite. We don't invite, we require students to participate in systems of intervention. We don't invite them. So at our school, when you fail or are close to failing, then the punishment is not, oh, you get an F. The punishment is get the work done. So that's just like a really brief overview of all the stuff we do, but it's a lot of fun. My own children, like you said, I have 7 children of my own. My second is going to graduate this year, so I'm getting old. My oldest has gone on to bigger and better. She's gone to college and currently serving a mission for our church, which is really great. She went to Guatemala, but then got sent home to the United States. Really, successful experiences for all of our students, and the outcomes that we're seeing are just outstanding.
Awesome. I'm going to come back to you and I want to talk, and when we come back, I want to ask you to talk about how you've been pulling all the homeschoolers back in. Okay, so I want to go to Michelle next. Michelle, so talk to me a little bit about what's been happening and then sort of go forward from that into your vision for the future.
Well, it's a very interesting time. Our teachers are really learning a lot about digital technology and how to integrate that into curriculum. We were part of the way there. We really had a plan going forward until the pandemic happened at spring break. So over the summer, our teachers basically really embraced the learning that we have pushed for the last 10 years in Galena Park ISD, and really understood the importance of what we were trying to accomplish. So currently they are having face-to-face students as well as the virtual students. Our curriculum department we're very supportive from the administration level down. They are kind of on a hybrid schedule, so our students that are they're not only teaching the face-to-face, but they teach the virtual at the same time. And it kind of depends on, if our students come or not. With that said, they are learning what is the best way to engage those students online, to get them there, to keep them there, because a lot of our students have to work just because of economic issues. And so doing that, our teachers have the technology that they need. They've always had technology. We are not a technology-rich district, but we use what we have to the best of its capability. And so we have really gone out and purchased a lot of technology for our teachers to use. We've given technology to our students for everyone to have a one-to-one, which is where we are now, we thought we would be there in about 2 years, but we got there very early. So we are very excited about that. With that said, our curriculum department continues to write and integrate and create technology lessons and engagement into the scope and sequence for every curriculum area, from CTE, to math, to science, to social studies, to your fine arts. They are all on board with that. And that is going well, and they continue to write that throughout the year and share that with our teachers.
Michelle, that coordinated effort is why we wanted to grant you guys the achiever level status, because that's already, light years above what a lot of the early districts are doing. Now that they're one-to-one, they're just like, here, go, do everything yourself.
And, we started that when I came on board several years ago. We'll just put several years ago. It was kind of separate. So there was instructional technology, and then there was curriculum, and I bridged that gap with them because I taught with a lot of them. And so I do meet with curriculum pretty much every week. We have a meeting, and I am a part of that, and my district specialists are a part of that. And so learning together and them viewing each other as equals, and this is how it's going to make curriculum a stronger piece for our teachers and the engagement for students. And so that mutual respect that we have, and the understanding that your curriculum and I know mine, and let's put them together and make the best of it, of what we can. And that's kind of where we've gone, and it has really flourished, because before this, we actually last year decided that in January, we had a curriculum department technology staff development, because we pulled in all of our campus coaches and things like that, and we had this big staff development day, and we taught them tools that would really help the curriculum and where that should be placed within the curriculum. And so we had decided to do 2 times a month this current year, learning online days at every campus. Well, and then that turned into the pandemic. So it's an everyday thing now, So,
yeah.
So yes, curriculum plays a huge part in our success.
Yeah. Getting organized. Gotta get organized. Okay, so let's come back around. So I want to start back with you, Ben, before Mark, because the biggest question we're getting right now, because of the statistics that I shared in the morning about the massive loss for a lot of districts to homeschooling, it's really ugly. I think I would have quoted higher numbers than I did had I not heard from like Dallas ISD and a few other districts that they're expecting to gain back some when they're back on campus again. So their 13,000 that they've lost, they think is sort of iffy. It's not permanently lost. I don't know though, right? So we were conservative in our numbers lost to homeschool, but even so, it is a majestic number of students. And maybe it's not all homeschool. It may be, some of them went to an alternative online, or they went to, some private school. But you had a strategy early on, and then I'm coming back to you, Mark and Michelle, like your thoughts on strategy in this area, because I like your strategy, Ben. Talk to us about that.
So I think obviously the strategy was not built around the pandemic. The strategy was built around trying to become an expo center for learning, which I think that public educators have a mandate to do, right? I think that there's been a problem in public education for a really long time because we're the neighborhood school and you have to come to us, that we just say, here it is, take it or leave it. Well, that's been changing slowly with charter organizations coming in, right? eating up some of those people, especially the families who are really involved with their kids, are choosing to have more choice. You know, Leilani, you've been preaching this for a long time. There's more and more choice in education, and they're going to start leaving that environment that just says take it or leave it, and there's no customer service, right? And so our strategy was, when we opened the school, how do we create an environment that really invites these kids back? And our online pathway was actually one of the specific goals to that was, we do in our area, just outside the Bay Area and the Central Valley, there's a large group of people in our own community who homeschool their children. I have a lot of my friends do it, right? The friends that live here in Mountain House homeschool their children. So my thought was around, how do we re-attract these people? What are they missing? So I went and talked to them. You know, I've enough people that I know in my own community, and I said, what are you missing from homeschooling? Well, you know, they have this homeschool network that they belong to, but they're far flung and far apart, and they have to get together, and it's kind of contrived and it's far away. My kid can't walk. I have to drive them, this, that, and the other. And again, how do we become this expo center for learning? Well, if we offer a homeschool program, one of the things schooling programs really like is, number one, the parents get to be involved. And number two, sometimes these homeschooling networks have expert teachers who they have access to when their kid gets stuck, right? When my kid's in high school and I was not good at math, I need access to a teacher. So our online pathway, we do use an external tool, an external curriculum called Edgenuity, but Edgenuity is just a curriculum. You know, we need to back that up with the teachers who have credentials that are experts in the area, so that when the kid who's taking that class gets stuck, they have somebody that they can come to. So we established a online learning center in our Learning Commons. We don't call our library a library anymore. It's a Learning Commons because our online learning center is there. We have technology in there. We have our graphic arts program, and our video and photo programs are all in there. So it's a multi-use facility. It's kind of like a big Starbucks. I just wish we could serve some food in there, but but you know, we made sure that we created something that those homeschooling parents would want. Now, I'd say, you know, when you're implementing an online program at a brick and mortar school, there are a lot of things you got to have in place. So we started small. We started with one student, 1 year. One of our alt ed students who she needed a job to support her family. She couldn't come to school during the day. So we decided to start with one, and then we increased the second year that we offered it. I think we offered it to 30 students. And then last year we had almost enough to hire a second full-time teacher. And then this year, it exploded, and we have 13 full-time teachers in our fully online program, and multiple more teachers in the hybrid pathway, because again, our students can choose to take face-to-face and online together. Part of that strategy was, I think the biggest roadblock that schools find when they try to do this is there's the bargaining unit typically has a problem with it, because they feel like you're taking their jobs away. Because in many cases, if you're adopting an online program and then you're paying that organization to be the teacher for them, because you can do that, we decided not to do that. We decided, let's start with our own teachers. And you start with a guiding coalition of teachers who are interested first. You don't force anyone to do it. You say, hey, we have these sections that we need someone to take. And that first teacher that we hired just happened to be at one of the elementary schools who had a single subject credential. And I said, hey, I think you'd be really good for this. We hired her on. She took the full-time position herself. And then with the hybrid program, we went out to teachers and we said, hey, we have a section full of kids in social studies that want to take online. Who would like to take it? And the person interested took it. We trained them. As you heard earlier with Heather Sherburne, we have a blended learning academy in our district, which is awesome, where we train teachers to do blended learning. And so we chose those people, we trained them, and they took over those jobs. And as we grew the program, it just became part of the regular teaching assignments every year. So now when we do our master schedule, we go out, the students choose their online and their face-to-face classes. If we need a full-time teacher, we go out there and say, who in the district would like to take this position? We don't force anybody to do it. Somebody chooses to do it. And then with the leftover sections of the hybrid classes, we just go to the departments and we say, there are X number of sections that are face-to-face and X number of sections that are online. You let us know, department chairs, who's going to take it. They discuss it on their own. They report back to us. It's perfect. People, I think that it is, and some teachers have decided who have taught it before that they really hate it and they don't ever want to do it again, which is fine. That's fine. Some teachers like to teach US history and others like to teach psychology. And you don't force people to do it. But then what we also teach those teachers is that we are actually investing in you and building capacity in you as a teacher, which makes you more marketable. We are giving you skills that you can take with you as you leave us, right? But you're not going to want to leave us because nowhere else gives you daily collaboration. Nowhere else gives you the collaborative type of environment that we have. So, and in the end, we have, I know I'm going on, but in the end, we are now seeing the fruits of that, which is we're getting homeschoolers. One of my good friends who, when I first went and asked them questions, they said, we'll never let our children go to your school. One of their kids joined our program this year. So it's because he wants to be in sports. So it's great.
So this is true, laser saber edu Jedi, because that's a real big problem now nationally. It is in the hundreds of millions of dollars a problem for many districts. So Mark, we only have a few minutes left and I want both you and Michelle to go. What do you think of that future? What are your plans?
So I think our plans are continue to create schools where students and staff want to be. There's something about the connectivity of a school, continue to embrace the digital content that we know works and engages students, the products that help personalize, sets individual targets for students, continue to support our teachers on this transition, continue to offer advanced placement, early college experience courses. On one of our high school campuses, the local community college has a branch there. Our students can attend any class they offer on site for free. To continue to work with them so our students can leave with an associate's degree in one hand and a high school diploma in the other. Continue to personalize the touch that we need for students and families. We do one-on-one check-in sessions with our students at the high school level. I think all of those things, in addition to offering a vast array of music programs, of sports and extracurricular activities, will ensure that students and families want to be part of the Meriden Public School system.
Yeah, that's the way you get them out. Okay, so Michelle.
Our future, continue to do the face-to-face, of course, with our virtual offer, students the opportunity to take more virtual if they choose to. I really like what Ben said in his plan that he has put together where the students get to choose face-to-face or virtual and a combination of both. I really like that, and I will probably steal that and maybe contact you. But we do have an early college high school. We've had that for several years, and that's very successful, so we'll continue to do that. Moving more towards personalization. I know that we are not there yet, but a more personalization in student paths of what they can take. And just, continue to do what's best for our students in Galena Park ISD.
Awesome. Well, I'm proud of all three of you. And, I think it's a big deal to win one of these Edu Jedi awards. I mean, if you guys knew how much went into the survey research and the minutia looking at each thing, it was a lot. It was a lot for the whole team. So thank you guys for being who you are and doing what you're doing and for joining us today. You can stay on if you want to hear the end of the day work that we're going to roll out. We're going to make some projections for the future, and we're going to invite a lot of the other winners on. There were 65 this year. I mean, Mark, you might remember, and Ben, you might remember before there was only like 12. But this year it just blew up. I mean, it was literally an explosion. So, but thank you again for being Edu Jedi. We're giving you a big round of applause. If we were together, we would have like a big hoopla thing, right? And we would get dressed up. But
thank you, Leilani, for your leadership too, Leilani. We really appreciate it, and congratulations to Ben and Michelle and your districts as well.
Thank you so much. Yes, thanks, Leilani.
Yeah, thank you guys.